Most people think that this is possibly the worst time ever to buy real estate. And in a lot of ways, those people aren't wrong. Prices are declining, confidence is low, and nobody wants to make a move in a market that feels this bad. But here's the truth. Sometimes the best opportunities in the market don't show up when the market is strong, but rather often the best opportunities appear when the market looks downright terrible, like today. And if you don't understand why this moment right now could actually save you hundreds of thousands of dollars, you might end up missing out on a rare chance to climb the property ladder while everyone else is too scared to even put their foot on the first rung. So in this video, I'm going to share with you a real life example of somebody that I just met with recently who is going to be way better off because the market is so bad. And that's great, almost as great as subscribing to this channel, and so great, in fact, that you should like this video. And please know that if you need help in the real estate market in the lower mainland of British Columbia, you can book a call with me right now using the link in the description below at a time that works best for you. So here's the scoop. Recently, I was speaking with a previous client of mine who purchased a small townhome in Surrey back in 2019. At that time, the purchase price they paid was $499,000. It's kind of funny because they actually had to wait like 5 months for their deal to close. And believe it or not, they were actually one of our first ever possessions right in the middle of the lockdown with gloves and masks and all that. Now, if you've been following real estate since then, you know that, well, the market since 2019 has been anything but normal. First, the market shot up with record-setting volume of sales and record-setting prices. This same unit in the early 2022 market, well, I sold a comparable unit at that time for as high as $902,000. It was insane. But in the end of 2022, the market came crashing down, and market values for that same property slid back, likely to what is now probably about $699,000. Now, obviously, this client of mine is still doing great. They absolutely love the home and they have no trouble paying the bills. But life goes on. And since buying this property, their family, it's expanded. So now they're considering making a move a little bit further up the property ladder and going from a small, modest 2-bedroom townhome to a larger 3-bedroom townhome, possibly with a side-by-side garage and a rec room for the kids. Because, well, if you're a parent like me, you know you need that space. But now they're in the middle of the worst market we have seen in the Fraser Valley in something like 25 years. But believe it or not, it's actually a better time for them to move now than when the market was doing good, and when their home was worth a whole lot more, like $200,000 more. And here's why. You see, although they have to swallow their pride and sell for less than what somebody else in the complex may have sold for before, so does the seller of their next home. And their next home is going to be bigger. Looking at the numbers, they are likely adding another $150,000 to $200,000 on top of their mortgage in order to do this upgrade. And that next house, the style that they want, is selling in today's market for between $850,000 and $900,000. But if they had moved back in the end of 2021 or 2022, you know, when the market was really good and they could have got top dollar for their townhouse, well, these townhomes now that they're moving up to that are well below $1 million, they were at that time selling for a price point of between $1.2 and $1.3 million. Meaning if they sold at the end of 2021, their jump up in property would have been another $300,000 to $400,000. And their jump today, making the exact same move and selling for $200,000 less, well, depending on the exact home that they end up buying, they're only adding about $150,000 to $200,000 on top of what they already owe. In other words, they're saving upwards of 50% on the lift in order to get the exact same home. And ultimately, that is not only a good move for their family, but also their pocketbooks. However, of course, I must say that selling these days is a lot harder than you think. It's not easy, but it might actually be a better time to move in this worse market than it was when all your family and friends in the news was telling you the market was doing great. And the best way to discover what you need to know before getting started is to watch this video right now so you know exactly what data to look for and how to interpret those numbers before you hit the market, because without the right data, selling in today's market is downright impossible.